The past few months had been a whirlwind for Jungkook and YN. After their previous misunderstanding and prank gone wrong, they had grown even closer, vowing to prioritize their relationship and communicate better. But life had a way of throwing curveballs, and now they were faced with a new challenge. YN had recently accepted a position as a professor at a nearby university, teaching English literature. It was a role she was passionate about, and Jungkook couldn't have been prouder of her. He'd even gone out of his way to support her, packing lunches, staying up late to help her prepare lecture notes, and listening to her excitedly talk about her students. But as the semester wore on, YN's workload increased exponentially. Exams were approaching, and she spent more and more time at the university, grading papers and preparing for classes. Their evenings together dwindled down to brief conversations and quick dinners, with YN often buried in a pile of papers and books. Jungkook tried his best to be understanding. He'd smile and kiss her goodnight when she stayed up late, and he'd wake up early to see her off in the mornings. But a part of him couldn't help but feel a twinge of loneliness as he found himself eating dinner alone more often than not. "Do you want me to bring you some coffee?" Jungkook asked one evening as YN sat at the kitchen table, her eyes glued to her laptop. She looked up, offering him an apologetic smile. "That would be great, Jungkook, but I still have a ton of papers to grade. Why don't you get some rest? I might be up for another few hours." He nodded, forcing a smile. "Sure, just don't stay up too late, okay? You need to take care of yourself." "I will," she promised, but they both knew it was a lie. Jungkook sighed softly, retreating to their bedroom, his heart heavy. One afternoon, Jungkook decided to surprise YN by visiting her at the university. He'd gotten off work early and thought it'd be nice to take her out for a coffee break, maybe get a chance to see her in her new role as a professor. He smiled at the thought, imagining the look of surprise on her face when she saw him. When he arrived at the university, he walked through the bustling hallways, following the directions YN had given him a few weeks ago when she'd first started. As he approached the faculty office area, he noticed a group of students standing outside, chatting excitedly. "Excuse me, do you know where Professor YN's office is?" he asked a nearby student. "Oh, it's just down the hall, sir," the student replied with a friendly smile. "But, there's a guy in there right now. I think he's giving her a gift or something." Jungkook frowned slightly, but he thanked the student and continued down the hall. As he approached her office door, he peered through the small window. There she was, sitting at her desk, her expression soft and patient as she listened to the young man standing in front of her. Jungkook couldn't hear what they were saying, but he watched as the boy, who looked no older than 19, held out a small box of chocolates with a shy, nervous smile. "Professor YN, I just wanted to thank you for all your help this semester," the boy stammered, his face turning a deep shade of red. "Why, you're one of the best teachers I've ever had, and, these are for you." YN's face lit up with a warm smile, her eyes twinkling with genuine appreciation. "Thank you, Taehyun, that's very sweet of you. I'm really proud of how much you've improved since the beginning of the semester. Keep up the good work, okay?" Taehyun's eyes widened with delight, and he nodded eagerly. "I will, Professor, I promise." Jungkook's grip tightened on the doorknob, his chest constricting painfully. He knew it was silly to feel jealous of a student, a teenager, at that. But seeing YN smile like that, hearing her praise the boy so warmly, it stirred something dark and unfamiliar inside him. Taehyun lingered for a moment longer, glancing at YN with a look that made Jungkook's blood boil. He could see it, the admiration, the shy infatuation that only a boy with a crush could have. And the worst part, YN didn't seem to notice. After a few more words of encouragement, Taehyun finally left, clutching his empty chocolate box with a bright smile on his face. Jungkook stepped back, leaning against the wall, his heart hammering in his chest. How many times had YN waited for him with a smile like that? How many times had she cheered him on, encouraged him, only to be met with his own inattentiveness or distracted replies? The realization hit him like a freight train. This was exactly what she'd felt every time he'd come home late from work, too tired or too busy to pay her the attention she deserved. He'd taken her for granted, just as he was accusing her of doing now. A lump formed in his throat as guilt washed over him. He'd been so wrapped up in his own feelings of loneliness that he hadn't stopped to consider how YN must have felt all those nights she'd spent waiting up for him, supporting him without complaint. "Jungkook." He looked up, startled, as YN's soft voice broke through his thoughts. She stood in the doorway of her office, a concerned expression on her face. What are you doing here? I wanted to surprise you, he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. YN's gaze softened, and she stepped closer, reaching out to touch his arm. That's sweet of you, but you look upset. Is something wrong? He swallowed hard, shaking his head. No, it's just, I saw that student give you chocolates. He seemed really fond of you. YN blinked, then let out a small, breathless laugh. Oh, Taehyun, he's just a kid, he probably just has a harmless crush. Don't worry, Jungkook, I'm yours, remember? Jungkook's eyes filled with tears, and he looked away, ashamed of how petty his jealousy had been. I know, but seeing you like this, it just made me realize how much I took you for granted. All those times I got so busy with work and didn't pay attention to you, I'm sorry, YN. YN's expression softened further, and she gently cupped his cheek, turning his face back to hers. Hey, you don't need to apologize. We've both had our busy moments. But that doesn't mean I ever stopped loving you or needing you. A tear slipped down Jungkook's cheek, and he let out a shaky breath. I just don't want you to feel lonely like I did. I never want to make you feel like you're not a priority. YN's heart ached at the vulnerability in his voice. She pulled him into a tight embrace, resting her head against his chest. You've never made me feel that way, Jungkook. I know you love me. And I love you, but thank you for being so understanding. Jungkook hugged her back just as tightly, burying his face in her hair as he fought to keep his tears at bay. I'll do better, YN. I promise. I'll be more present, more supportive. Whatever you need, I'll be there. YN pulled back slightly, looking up at him with a tender smile. I know you will. You've already proven it by being here right now. She reached up, brushing away his tears with her thumb. You're a good husband, Jungkook. And I'm so lucky to have you. Jungkook let out a soft, choked laugh, then leaned down to kiss her gently, slowly, as if savoring every second. When they finally pulled away, he rested his forehead against hers, his heart swelling with love and gratitude. I'm the lucky one, he whispered, his voice filled with conviction. You make me want to be better, YN. I love you so much. I love you too, she murmured, pressing a soft kiss to his lips. Now, why don't we go home? I think we could both use a break from work. Jungkook smiled, nodding as he laced his fingers with hers. Yeah, let's go home. Together. And as they walked out of the university hand in hand, Jungkook knew that no matter how busy or complicated life got, they would always find their way back to each other, because their love was stronger than any obstacle that came their way. That evening, as they curled up on the couch together, Jungkook looked over at YN, his heart brimming with affection. I'm not gonna lie, though, he teased, a playful glint in his eyes. That Taehyun kid, he better watch himself. Can't have anyone stealing my wife's attention. YN rolled her eyes with a soft laugh, nudging his shoulder playfully. Oh, please, he's just a student, Jungkook. He probably doesn't even see me that way. Are you kidding? Jungkook scoffed, his expression half serious, half joking. Did you see the way he looked at you? Like you were the sun, moon, and stars all rolled into one. You're definitely his favorite professor, probably even his first crush. YN tilted her head thoughtfully, her lips twitching with a smile. Even if he does have a crush, it's harmless. He's a sweet kid, and I'm sure it's just admiration. Nothing more. Jungkook murmured, his fingers absent-mindedly tracing patterns on her hand. Maybe. But still, I'm the only one who gets to shower you with chocolates and gifts, okay? YN's heart fluttered at the possessiveness in his tone, sweet and loving rather than overbearing. Okay, Mr. Jaeon, she whispered, leaning in closer. Only you. Jungkook's expression softened as he cupped her cheek, his thumb gently brushing against her skin. I'm serious, you know. I don't ever want you to feel unappreciated or overlooked, YN. I'll do whatever it takes to show you how much you mean to me. YN's eyes glistened with emotion, and she placed her hand over his, squeezing gently. And you've already started doing that, Jungkook. You came to see me at work today, you listened to me talk about my students, that's more than enough. You've always been enough. Jungkook leaned in, pressing his forehead against hers as he closed his eyes. I just want to be better for you. To be the husband you deserve. YN's smile widened as she closed the distance between them, her lips brushing softly against his. You already are, and besides, we're both learning and growing together. That's what matters. He hummed in agreement, his arms wrapping around her waist as he pulled her even closer. You're right, we've come a long way, haven't we? We have, she murmured, her fingers threading through his hair. And we'll keep going, together. Jungkook's heart swelled with love as he kissed her, slowly, deeply, savoring the warmth and softness of her lips against his. This was where he belonged, he realized. Right here, with her in his arms, sharing quiet moments filled with love and understanding. When they finally broke apart, YN rested her head on his shoulder, letting out a content sigh. But you know, I have to admit, I kind of like seeing you get all jealous. Yeah, really? Jungkook's eyes widened in mock indignation, but there was a playful glint in them. Are you saying you enjoyed torturing me like that? YN giggled, the sound light and melodious. Maybe a little. It's nice to know you still get possessive over me. Of course I do, he murmured, his voice dropping to a low, husky whisper. You're my world, YN. There's no one else I'd rather be jealous over. She snuggled closer, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath her cheek. Well, in that case, I promise I'll always be yours to get jealous over. Jungkook smiled, his hold tightening around her as he pressed a gentle kiss to the top of her head. And I'll always be yours, no matter what. They stayed like that for a long while, wrapped up in each other's warmth and love, the world outside fading away until there was nothing left but the two of them.